Question 1. Mississippi workers' compensation. In Mississippi, an employee injured on the job files a workers' compensation claim. The employer argues that the employee was intoxicated during the incident and denies the claim. Which of the following best describes the employer's legal position under Mississippi law? A. The employer can deny the claim if they prove intoxication caused the injury. B. Workers' compensation covers all injuries, regardless of the employee's condition at the time of the incident. C. The claim cannot be denied, as intoxication is not a valid defense under Mississippi law. D. The employee is responsible for proving they were not intoxicated to receive benefits. Answer A. The employer can deny the claim if they prove intoxication caused the injury. Explanation. Under the Mississippi Workers' Compensation Act, employers may deny claims if they can demonstrate that the employee's intoxication was the primary cause of the injury. The burden of proof lies with the employer to establish this causal relationship. This exception helps balance the right of employees to compensation with the responsibility to avoid negligent or dangerous behavior. While most injuries sustained in the course of employment are covered, there are valid defenses such as intoxication, willful misconduct, or intentional self-harm that can relieve the employer of liability. Question 2. Scenario-based question on auto insurance coverage. Emily, who lives in Mississippi, is driving her vehicle when she gets into an accident with an uninsured motorist. The accident leaves Emily with substantial medical bills and vehicle damage. Emily's auto insurance policy includes uninsured motorist coverage, but with a single limit for bodily injury and property damage. If Emily seeks compensation for both bodily injury and property damage, what is her best course of action under Mississippi law? A. She can stack her uninsured motorist coverage with her collision coverage to cover the costs. B. She is limited to recovering up to the single policy limit for both bodily injury and property damage combined. C. She can only recover for bodily injury under the uninsured motorist coverage, but not for property damage. D. She may recover for bodily injury and property damage separately without any limit on the total compensation. Answer. B. She is limited to recovering up to the single policy limit for both bodily injury and property damage combined. Explanation. Under Mississippi law, uninsured motorist coverage can include a single limit for both bodily injury and property damage, meaning the policyholder is limited to a maximum payout that covers both. The Mississippi Uninsured Motorist Law Miss. Codan SS 8311101 requires coverage to be offered, but it does not allow stacking coverage with other types of coverage like collision. Emily would need to file under a coverage, but her compensation would be capped by the policy's stated limit, which applies to both categories of damage. Question 3. Errors and omissions. EO insurance. A Mississippi insurance agent provides advice to a client about their policy options but fails to include a critical exclusion in the discussion. The client subsequently files a claim, which is denied due to the exclusion. The client sues the agent for negligence. Under the agent's errors and omissions EO insurance, what type of coverage is the agent most likely to rely on in this situation? A. The EO policy will cover the cost of defending the agent and any settlement or judgment resulting from the client's claim. B. The EO policy will only cover settlements, not defense costs. C. The EO policy will not apply since the exclusion was part of the policy and the agent is not responsible for the client's misunderstanding. D. The EO policy will cover the claim, but only if the agent did not charge a fee for their advisory services. Answer A. The EO policy will cover the cost of defending the agent and any settlement or judgment resulting from the client's claim. Explanation. Errors and omissions. EO insurance is specifically designed to protect professionals, such as insurance agents, against claims of negligence, misrepresentation, or failure to provide proper advice. In this case, if the agent failed to disclose a critical exclusion, EO coverage would typically cover both the defense costs and any settlement or judgment, assuming the omission was unintentional and part of the agent's professional services. Mississippi law requires insurance professionals to act in good faith and disclose material facts, so failing to do so can be considered an error which would trigger EO protection. Question 4. Mississippi Auto Insurance Plan MAPE. Which of the following individuals would not qualify for coverage under the Mississippi Auto Insurance Plan MAPE? A. An individual who has been unable to obtain auto insurance after being rejected by 2 insurance companies. B. A driver with a poor driving record, including multiple accidents and violations, who has been turned down by every insurer in the market. C. A person who has been found guilty of insurance fraud and had their prior policy cancelled. D. A high-risk driver who cannot find insurance because of a DUI conviction but has no record of insurance fraud. Answer: C. A person who has been found guilty of insurance fraud and had their prior policy cancelled. Explanation: the Mississippi Auto Insurance Plan is designed to provide coverage for high-risk drivers who cannot obtain insurance through the voluntary market. However, individuals who have been found guilty of insurance fraud or have had a policy cancelled due to fraudulent activity are not eligible for coverage under the MAIP. This exclusion ensures that the plan serves high-risk drivers in need of coverage but does not cover individuals who have engaged in illegal activities related to insurance. Question 5. Policy structure and endorsements. In a Mississippi Commercial General Liability (CGL) policy, an endorsement can be added to exclude certain risks from coverage. Which of the following is most likely to be excluded by an endorsement in a CGL policy? A. Bodily injury caused by a slip and fall on the insured's premises. B. Damage to the insured's own property. C. Bodily injury caused by the insured's defective product. D. Property damage caused by a subcontractor working for the insured. Answer: B. Damage to the insured's own property. Explanation: commercial general liability (CGL) policies typically exclude coverage for damage to the insured's own property. This type of risk is covered under property insurance rather than liability insurance. Endorsements can be added to a CGL policy to further refine or exclude specific types of risks, but the base policy itself already excludes coverage for the insured's own property. Endorsements are often used to exclude certain high-risk activities or professional services, but the exclusion for property damage to the insured's own property is standard in CGL policies. Question 6. Scenario-based question on liability. Michael owns a small business in Mississippi. One day, one of his employees, Sarah, accidentally spills a cleaning solution, causing a customer to slip and break their ankle. The customer sues the business for medical expenses and pain and suffering. Which type of insurance would most likely cover the business's liability in this situation? A. Workers' compensation insurance. B. Commercial general liability insurance, CGL. C. Commercial property insurance. D. Commercial auto insurance. Answer: B. Commercial general liability insurance, CGL. Explanation: in this scenario, commercial general liability (CGL) insurance would cover the business's liability for bodily injury to the customer. CGL policies provide coverage for accidents and injuries that occur on the business premises or as a result of the business's operations. Since the injury was caused by a slip and fall incident on the business premises, CGL insurance would respond by covering the medical expenses and any damages awarded for pain and suffering. Workers' compensation would only cover employee injuries, and property insurance would cover damage to the business's property but not third-party bodily injuries. Question 7. Commercial auto insurance. Symbol designations. In Mississippi, a business auto policy uses specific symbols to designate covered autos. Which symbol in a commercial auto policy would indicate coverage for any auto used by the business, including owned, non-owned, and hired vehicles? A. Symbol 7. B. Symbol 1. C. Symbol 3. D. Symbol 9. Answer: B. Symbol 1. Explanation: in a commercial auto insurance policy, Symbol 1 provides the broadest coverage, indicating that any auto used by the business is covered under the policy. This includes autos owned by the business, as well as non-owned and hired vehicles. Other symbols are more specific in their coverage. For example, Symbol 7 applies to specifically scheduled vehicles, while Symbol 9 covers non-owned autos only. Symbol 1 is typically used for businesses that want broad protection for all vehicles used in their operations. Question 8. Mississippi workers' compensation. Death benefits. Under Mississippi workers' compensation law, if a worker dies as a result of a job-related injury, what benefits are provided to the worker's surviving dependents? A. The dependents receive the worker's full salary for 5 years in addition to a lump sum death benefit. B. The dependents receive 66 to 3% of the worker's average weekly wage up to a state maximum, and funeral expenses are also covered. C. The dependents receive a one-time lump sum payment equivalent to the worker's annual salary. D. The dependents receive 50% of the worker's salary for 10 years, but funeral expenses are not covered. Answer: B. The dependents receive 66 to 3% of the worker's average weekly wage up to a state maximum, and funeral expenses are also covered. Explanation: Mississippi workers' compensation law provides death benefits to the dependents of a worker who dies due to a job-related injury. The dependents are entitled to receive 66 to 3% of the worker's average weekly wage, subject to a maximum limit set by the state. In addition, the law covers reasonable funeral expenses, ensuring the dependents have some financial support after the worker's death. The compensation continues for as long as the dependents qualify, often based on their relationship to the deceased and their financial dependence. Question 9. Liability concepts. Contributory negligence. In Mississippi, how does the legal defense of contributory negligence affect a plaintiff's ability to recover damages in a liability lawsuit? A. If the plaintiff is found even 1% at fault, they are barred from recovering any damages. B. The plaintiff's damages are reduced in proportion to the level of fault, but they can still recover partial damages. C. The plaintiff can recover full damages regardless of their own level of fault. D. The plaintiff must prove the defendant was 100% at fault, or they cannot recover any damages. Answer. B. The plaintiff's damages are reduced in proportion to their level of fault, but they can still recover partial damages. Explanation. Mississippi follows a pure comparative negligence system, meaning that a plaintiff's recovery in a liability lawsuit is reduced by their own percentage of fault. For example, if the plaintiff is found to be 20% at fault for an accident, their damages will be reduced by 20%. However, the plaintiff can still recover partial damages even if they are partially at fault, unlike a contributory negligence system where any fault would bar recovery altogether. Question 10. Cyber liability insurance. Data breach coverage. Which of the following is typically not covered by a cyber liability insurance policy in Mississippi? A. Costs associated with notifying customers of a data breach. B. Regulatory fines and penalties imposed for failing to meet data protection standards. C. Compensation for lost profits due to reputational damage following a data breach. D. Legal defense costs arising from lawsuits filed by affected customers. Answer. C. Compensation for lost profits due to reputational damage following a data breach. Explanation. Cyber liability insurance policies generally cover the costs associated with data breaches, including customer notification, regulatory fines, legal defense costs, and even data restoration expenses. However, most policies do not cover lost profits due to reputational damage or other indirect financial losses. Businesses may need to seek additional business interruption or reputation management coverage if they wish to insure against these types of losses. Question 11. Mississippi homeowners insurance. Windstorm coverage. Which of the following would not be covered by a typical Mississippi homeowners insurance policy with windstorm coverage? A. Roof damage caused by a tornado. B. Flooding caused by storm surge during a hurricane. C. Siding damage caused by high winds during a severe storm. D. Broken windows caused by a windstorm. Answer. B. Flooding caused by storm surge during a hurricane. Explanation. Most homeowners insurance policies, even those with windstorm coverage, exclude damage caused by flooding, including flooding from storm surges during hurricanes. Homeowners must purchase a separate flood insurance policy to cover flood-related damages. Windstorm coverage typically includes damage caused by tornadoes, high winds, and other wind-related perils, but flooding is excluded under standard policies. Question 12. Mississippi property insurance. Loss settlement. Under Mississippi property insurance law, how is the actual cash value (SEV) recovered loss determined? A. The replacement cost of the property minus depreciation based on the property's age and condition. B. The market value of the property at the time of loss without consideration for depreciation. C. The cost to replace the property with materials of like kind and quality without depreciation. D. The assessed tax value of the property adjusted for inflation. Answer A. The replacement cost of the property minus depreciation based on the property's age and condition. Explanation. Actual cash value (SEV) represents the replacement cost of the damaged or destroyed property minus depreciation. Depreciation accounts for the property's age, condition, and normal wear and tear. Unlike replacement cost coverage, which reimburses the full cost of replacing the item, ACV policies take depreciation into account, which generally results in a low payout. Question 13. Mississippi commercial property insurance. Business interruption. Which of the following events would typically trigger a business interruption claim under a commercial property insurance policy in Mississippi? A. Loss of market share due to increased competition. B. Temporary closure of the business due to a covered fire damaging the premises. C. A decline in sales due to poor weather conditions. D. Changes in local regulations requiring the business to halt operations. Answer. B. Temporary closure of the business due to a covered fire damaging the premises. Explanation: business interruption insurance is designed to cover losses of income and extra expenses when a business is temporarily unable to operate due to damage to the property from a covered event, such as a fire. Losses that are not tied to property damage, such as market share loss or changes in regulations, would not trigger a business interruption claim. Question 14. Mississippi Workers' Compensation. Medical benefits. Which of the following medical services is not typically covered by Mississippi Workers' Compensation Insurance? A. Emergency medical care immediately following a workplace injury. B. Ongoing physical therapy for recovery from a work-related injury. C. Elective cosmetic surgery unrelated to the work injury. D. Prescription medication required to treat a work-related injury. Answer: C. Elective cosmetic surgery unrelated to the work injury. Explanation: Mississippi Workers' Compensation Insurance covers medical treatments that are necessary to treat and recover from work-related injuries. This includes emergency care, physical therapy, and required medication. However, elective procedures such as cosmetic surgery that is not related to the work injury are not covered under workers' compensation. Question 15. Mississippi Umbrella Insurance. Excess liability. In Mississippi, an umbrella insurance policy typically provides excess liability coverage. Which of the following is an example of when an umbrella policy would provide coverage? A. Damage to your own vehicle in a car accident. B. A lawsuit for damages that exceed the limits of your auto liability policy. C. Flood damage to your home. D. Medical payments for your own injuries following a slip and fall accident on your property. Answer: B. A lawsuit for damages that exceed the limits of your auto liability policy. Explanation: umbrella insurance policies provide excess liability coverage beyond the limits of underlying policies, such as auto or homeowners insurance. For example, if you are sued for damages following a car accident and the judgment exceeds your auto liability coverage, the umbrella policy would cover the additional amount. Umbrella policies do not cover property damage to your own assets or injuries to yourself. Question 16. Mississippi Auto Insurance. Uninsured motorist coverage. Under Mississippi auto insurance law, what does uninsured motorist coverage typically provide? A. Coverage for property damage to the insured's vehicle in a hit-and-run accident. B. Coverage for medical expenses if the insured is injured by a driver who does not have liability insurance. C. Coverage for legal defense costs if the insured is sued after an accident. D. Coverage for repairs to the insured's vehicle after a collision with an uninsured driver. Answer: B. Coverage for medical expenses if the insured is injured by a driver who does not have liability insurance. Explanation: uninsured motorist coverage protects the insured if they are injured in an accident caused by a driver who does not have liability insurance. It typically covers medical expenses, lost wages, and other damages related to bodily injury. coverage does not typically cover property damage, which would be covered under separate uninsured motorist property damage coverage if available. Question 17. Mississippi Farm Insurance. Liability coverage. Which of the following would typically not be covered under a Mississippi Farm Insurance policy's liability section? A. Bodily injury to a visitor who falls on the farm's premises. B. Damage caused by farm machinery accidentally hitting a neighbor's property. C. Injuries sustained by an employee while working on the farm. D. A lawsuit filed by a customer who became ill after consuming farm products. Answer: C. Injuries sustained by an employee while working on the farm. Explanation: injuries to farm employees are typically covered by workers' compensation insurance, not farm liability insurance. The liability section of a farm insurance policy covers third-party bodily injury and property damage claims, such as a visitor's injury or damage to a neighbor's property. Employee injuries require separate workers' compensation coverage. Question 18. Mississippi Flood Insurance. National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP). Which of the following statements is true about flood insurance under the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) in Mississippi? A. NFIP flood insurance is automatically included in all homeowners insurance policies in high-risk flood zones. B. NFIP policies cover flood damage to both the structure and personal property inside the home. C. Private insurance companies underwrite and sell NFIP flood insurance policies. D. NFIP flood insurance is only available for homes located in designated flood zones. Answer: B. NFIP policies cover flood damage to both the structure and personal property inside the home. Explanation: flood insurance through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) covers both the structure of the home and personal property inside the home, subject to policy limits and exclusions. However, NFIP flood insurance is not automatically included in homeowners' policies and must be purchased separately. While it is available for properties in high-risk flood zones, it can also be purchased by homeowners in low-risk areas. Question 19. Mississippi Inland Marine Insurance coverage. Which of the following would most likely be covered under a Mississippi Inland Marine Insurance policy? A. A boat stored at the insured's home. B. Jewelry damaged in a house fire. C. Construction equipment being transported to a job site. D. Livestock injured during a storm on the insured's farm. Answer: C. Construction equipment being transported to a job site. Explanation: inland marine insurance provides coverage for goods, equipment, and property in transit or used at various locations away from the insured's premises. Construction equipment being transported to a job site would fall under this coverage. Boats, jewelry, and livestock would typically require different types of coverage, such as homeowners, marine, or farm insurance. Question 20. Mississippi liability insurance. Punitive damages. Under Mississippi law, are punitive damages awarded in a lawsuit typically covered by liability insurance policies? A. Yes, all liability policies are required to cover punitive damages. B. No, punitive damages are generally excluded from liability insurance coverage. C. Only if the policyholder requests an endorsement for punitive damage coverage. D. Punitive damages are only covered if they result from negligence, not intentional acts. Answer: B. No, punitive damages are generally excluded from liability insurance coverage. Explanation: punitive damages, which are awarded to punish the defendant for particularly egregious conduct, are generally excluded from liability insurance coverage in Mississippi. Insurers do not typically cover punitive damages as they are intended to serve as a deterrent rather than compensatory damages. Liability policies generally cover compensatory damages but exclude punitive damages. Question 21. Mississippi auto insurance. Collision versus comprehensive coverage. Which of the following events would typically be covered by comprehensive auto insurance but not collision coverage in Mississippi? A. A car accident caused by the policyholder's negligence. B. Damage to the vehicle caused by hitting a deer. C. The vehicle is damaged after skidding on ice and hitting a guardrail. D. A hit-and-run accident damaging the vehicle while parked. Answer: B. Damage to the vehicle caused by hitting a deer. Explanation: comprehensive coverage generally covers events outside of the driver's control, such as animal collisions, natural disasters, theft, and vandalism. Hitting a deer falls under comprehensive coverage, while collisions caused by the driver, like hitting a guardrail or another vehicle, would fall under collision coverage. Question 22. Mississippi property insurance. Ordinance or law coverage. Ordinance or law coverage in a Mississippi property insurance policy typically provides for which of the following? A. Rebuilding a damaged home to comply with updated building codes. B. The full replacement cost of personal belongings destroyed in a covered peril. C. The market value of the home at the time of the loss. D. The cost to install luxury upgrades like granite countertops after a covered loss. Answer: A. Rebuilding a damaged home to comply with updated building codes. Explanation: ordinance or law coverage helps pay for the additional costs of rebuilding or repairing a property to meet updated local building codes after a covered loss. Without this coverage, a homeowner might be responsible for paying the difference between the original building standards and the new code requirements out of pocket. Question 23. Mississippi renters insurance. Loss of use. Under Mississippi renters insurance policy, what does loss of use coverage typically provide? A. Coverage for damage to the renter's personal belongings. B. Coverage for legal liability if the renter is sued by a guest. C. Reimbursement for additional living expenses if the rental becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. D. Reimbursement for repairs to the rental property after a covered loss. Answer: C. Reimbursement for additional living expenses if the rental becomes uninhabitable due to a covered loss. Explanation: loss of use coverage under renter's insurance policy provides for additional living expenses like hotel stays or temporary rentals if the insured's home becomes uninhabitable due to a covered peril such as a fire or severe storm. It ensures that the policyholder has financial assistance for necessary living arrangements during the repair period. Question 24. Mississippi commercial auto insurance. Who is covered in a Mississippi commercial auto insurance policy? Who would be considered an insured while driving a covered vehicle? A. Only the business owner. B. Any employee who is using the vehicle for business purposes. C. The business owner's family members. D. Any individual driving the vehicle regardless of purpose. Answer: B. Any employee who is using the vehicle for business purposes. Explanation: a commercial auto insurance policy typically covers the business owner and any employees who are authorized to drive the vehicle for business purposes. The policy does not extend coverage to personal use by family members or unauthorized drivers, and it generally excludes personal use unless specifically stated in the policy. Question 25. Mississippi homeowners insurance. Personal property coverage. Which of the following types of personal property is typically subject to a coverage limit under a standard Mississippi homeowners insurance policy? A. Furniture. B. Jewelry. C. Clothing. D. Electronics. Answer: B. Jewelry. Explanation: standard homeowners insurance policies often limit coverage for certain high-value items such as jewelry, furs, and fine art. If the policyholder needs more coverage for these items, they may need to purchase a rider or endorsement. Furniture, clothing, and electronics are typically covered up to the personal property limit, but do not have the same low sublimit as jewelry. Question 26. Mississippi workers' compensation. Covered injuries. Which of the following injuries would not typically be covered by Mississippi workers' compensation insurance? A. An injury sustained while performing work duties on the job site. B. An injury sustained during a lunch break at a public restaurant off premises. C. An injury that occurs while traveling to a customer site for work purposes. D. An injury sustained while attending a work-related conference. Answer: B. An injury sustained during a lunch break at a public restaurant off premises. Explanation: Mississippi workers' compensation insurance generally covers injuries that occur while the employee is performing work-related duties, including travel for work purposes. Injuries sustained during a personal break off-site, such as during a lunch break at a restaurant, are typically not covered as they fall outside the scope of employment. Question 27. Mississippi life insurance. Contestability period. In Mississippi, how long is the contestability period for a life insurance policy during which the insurer can contest a claim due to misrepresentation by the policyholder? A. 6 months. B. 1 year. C. 2 years. D. 5 years. Answer: C. 2 years. Explanation: in Mississippi, the contestability period for life insurance policies is typically 2 years. During this period, the insurer can investigate and deny a claim if it finds that the policyholder misrepresented information on the application. After the contestability period expires, the insurer cannot deny a claim based on application misrepresentation except in cases of fraud. Question 20. Mississippi health insurance. Pre-existing conditions. Under Mississippi law and the Affordable Care Act, can health insurance companies deny coverage or charge higher premiums for pre-existing conditions? A. Yes, if the pre-existing condition is severe. B. Yes, but only for certain high-risk conditions. C. No, health insurance companies cannot deny coverage or charge more for pre-existing conditions. D. No, but they can impose waiting periods before covering pre-existing conditions. Answer: C. No, health insurance companies cannot deny coverage or charge more for pre-existing conditions. Explanation: under the Affordable Care Act, health insurance companies in Mississippi, as in all other states, cannot deny coverage or charge higher premiums to individuals based on pre-existing conditions. This ensures that individuals with chronic or previously diagnosed conditions have equal access to health insurance. Question 29. Mississippi flood insurance. Waiting period. When purchasing a flood insurance policy through the National Flood Insurance Program (NFIP) in Mississippi, how long is the typical waiting period before coverage takes effect? A. Immediate coverage upon payment of the premium. B. 7 days after purchase. C. 14 days after purchase. D. 30 days after purchase. Answer: D. 30 days after purchase. Explanation: NFIP flood insurance policies generally have a 30-day waiting period before coverage takes effect. This waiting period is designed to prevent individuals from purchasing flood insurance only when a flood is imminent. There are some exceptions, such as if the policy is required for a mortgage closing. Question 30. Mississippi homeowners insurance. Schedule personal property. In the Mississippi homeowners insurance policy, what is the purpose of scheduling personal property? A. To exclude certain items from coverage under the policy. B. To list items that are covered under the personal property limit of the policy. C. To provide higher coverage limits for specific valuable items such as jewelry or artwork. D. To reduce premiums by excluding high value items from the policy. Answer: C. To provide higher coverage limits for specific valuable items such as jewelry or artwork. Explanation: scheduling personal property involves listing valuable items such as jewelry, artwork, or collectibles on the policy with specific coverage limits that exceed the standard sublimits. This ensures that the full value of these items is covered in case of loss, theft, or damage. It requires a separate endorsement or rider to be added to the policy.